Hello everyone. I'm Bikash Thapa from Nepal, and currently I'm going to present thesis of my master's in bioethics and global public health. I'm graduating students from American University of Sovereign Nation, AUSN, Arizona, and so today is my thesis defense day. So, like. I'm going to present my thesis here. So, and before presenting my thesis, I would like to thank my professor Darren Massel, who is my supervisor as well, and thank all the team and member of Youth Science Club who helped me to do thesis and all the things. Okay, so. Coming to my thesis topic entitled is on the basis of, as you can see there, basis of early marriage and consequences on the well-being of mother and child in Jhirubas, Palpa, Nepal. So it is one of the hilly regions of Nepal, and so the topic entitled topic I chose because the place which I will present in the data also. This place, the Palpa, is in CBS from the data, national data, which is called Central Bureau of Statistics. Every 10 years that they produce the data, and from that data also, Palpa district is one of the very prone to the early marriage, referring to the child marriage. So in that way also, I selected this topic for my study. So and moreover, since I think 2007, I have been volunteering. I have been working with youths and children and different time, and I also have been facilitating the trainings related to the genders and writing articles and all that. So currently my job is also integrated with gender-based violence and also child protection, dealing with the child protection issues. And I work as a technical officer in international NGOs, and as a research development in Nepal. So I think in India also there is a research India. So my part is to provide backstopping to the local NGO in the Thorai sectors, and also in the area which I selected in this study area. I have been there, and I also work with one of the NGOs there. So I have more or less idea about the place, and so that also my reason for selecting this topic is that. So, and apart from that, this not only this Palpa districts, the place where I am currently working, I'm working for as a technical officer for 4 districts, like Rohtak and Parsa and Dhansa and Mohtari, which is very backward. The Parsa, if you there are different people from different countries here. So if I tell the Parsa, Dhansa, Mohtari, you will not know about that place, but it's in between the border, border of India. So when you search in the Google, you will find that. So if you find the data also of these districts also, which I am working, but it's not a part of the research. So there is also the high prevalence of the early marriage and child, referring to the child marriage. So that why also I am quite interested to dig out the problem and issues and consequent of the marriage among the mother and also child. So this is my topic. So this is all thing. And you can see that table of contents abstracts and list of contents which is here. And I have included the background of the study, a statement, problem statement, objective of the study, significance of the study, why I selected this topic, and also definition, why it is needed, all all that. And also like there have been used some terms and terminologies which need to be defined properly. So until and unless you define the terms properly, so what I meant here, it will not be clear. So I have been trying to define some terminology which I have included here according to the like what is mean by that. So and apart from that, like there is chapter 2. I have that present. I have been trying to
show us. Show us.
I'll show that. Before showing that literature, I'll try to show. I'm showing abstracts. So because later on I have written on that also. So like abstract, like is the main part of the research. So like I need to present that. So like in my research, this abstract, like I'll read that. Like this from my abstract, like the study this basis of which is the topic is I have to correct here. So like the study basis of child early marriage and consequence on mother and child well-being in Jhirubas of Palpa, which is one of the hilly regions. So explores the causes of early marriage and assess the consequences of early marriage on maternal and child well-being in the districts of Nepal, so which is one of the hilly districts. This is district research has been intended for the study, and like as this is my part of the like academic research, and which is my like due to my like a job constraint all that, I had done like a 2-week-long field here. So based on that, and 126 respondents were selected to the confidence sampling method, which is like due to like I have to like it would be convenient for me. So as a researcher, I need to go there and all that. So as convenient for me, I selected 126 respondents, and this like that basis was on the being that like two criteria. There was two criteria: being a married woman, only one is like being a married woman only who got married before 19 years of age. Like in between in Nepal, like as also WS also defined like the adolescent is like from 10 to 19 also, and 13 from 19 also, different time, different stage it has been defined. So below the study, this resembles from the age like the girls who got and women who got married before 19 years age, and also referring to the women who who had children and who are like below up to 30 years age, and they have children up to 3 years, and those who have children below 30 years. And for this I have like a scheduled social interviews and all that to collect the information and about the socio-economic conditions and like other related characteristics, as well as marriage related causes and consequences among the children. Major findings and recommendations from this study include like early marriage is still prevalent among the illiterate group, and referring to the literate group, like a paradigm shift was found in some aspects, such as the shift in the decision making from parents to children, which I'll show in the table also. You can see later on the table. What is
the projector?
It is continued. It's fine.
okay. Most of the like a shift from arranged to love marriage, and like there is a trend like since I used to work like before I used to work in the like one of the government project in Nepal, which is a school SSRP, like a school sector reform project, and in between that also, like when I went to the village area of Nepal, and I used to talk with those peoples and children there, and I used to normally ask them. So and in Ilam, that was the place, that was a district called Ilam, and which is very tourist place, and you can go visit there. And like and there was an interesting thing I found out that like the marriage and love like affairs which they got is from like a mobile. Somebody will message like they will have a mobile, and like their parents when like apparently they there is a trend like buying vulnerable, they will fall in like they will good things like they will do bring a first division in the exam and all that. So they will buy a mobile for their children. So later on from that mobile, they will connect to the another friends, and apparently they will connect to the like girls and boys online. So and they fall in love, and later on that from mobile and they will meet and they will flee away. And after sometimes like the case will come into the like a court or like a police that my children has been lost or somebody like kidnapped and all that. So and later on the marriage and it will be registered as an early marriage and pregnancy, and it will be like a consequence to the like occurring of early that unwanted pregnancy and all that. So thing is like there is different factors like for early marriage. There is not only one factors contributing, but different factors has been integrated to those things like how that early marriage has been like it's widely been practiced. Though like Nepal recently passed a bill that until no like a girl or no boy will be married before 20 years of age. It is legally defined, and if anything is found, like any male or female found to be married before 20 years of age, this shall be punishable. It is written in the law, but it is not in the practice. Like if you go to the Tarai or if you go in this place also, you'll find that several like trained of marriage, like several different types of marriage. They are like practicing, communities practicing, and yeah, the police is trying to control, but until and unless nobody will, they will not give a complaint. The police will not like go and grab them and bring them. And thing is, our Nepalese law system is very like traditional, so it is also kind of barriers to these things, and it is contributing. And likewise, to deal with the problem of a number of strategies has been suggested, like in my research, and which is like kind of it is not been, I have not been able to keep so much time to bring more findings and all that, but there may be some more factors which may be contributing, but which how much I have tried to collect some like a basis how like early marriage has been practiced and what can be the strategies and what are the causes beyond that, so how it is contributing. And mainly it is providing opportunity to young girls, like maybe that this early marriage will be can be minimized or can be reduced. Like we can provide the sex education to the young girls and all that. So maybe we can provide some teenagers, adolescent education, how the menstruation hygiene takes place and all that. So and it will reduce the early marriage, and also like education of girls and using mass media to increase the awareness of the whole community and consequence of marriage on girls themselves, on her children along with the family. So we should able to focus on the family also, like maybe the formal institution as in the schools and all that will be focusing on the children, but through the children we can focus to the parents. Currently my job is also like is kind of educating parents, and through our local NGO, our partners and our staff has been contributing and has been working with governments how we can incorporate parents and bring them in this arena, so that both parents and the children will be responsible and they will be self-aware about the consequence. So and at last, that efforts need to be made in the committee and other parts of Nepal, because Palpa and this 4 districts which I am working is not only the place where all marriages take place. There are so many districts and there are so many places which where early marriage occurs and refers and as a child marriage. So it need to be like a combat. It need to be addressed, and it need to be addressed properly. Not only addressing, but addressing means how in what way we can address. It depends on that. So there are so many NGOs, so many international NGOs working. So we need to collaborate with each of us and work on that. And Yeah, this is the abstract, and this is the tables, list of tables. So I'll not go there. And this is the background of the studies, which, if needed, then I can explain. But this is the things that how I liked this background of the study resembles how this basis that early marriage, what are the causes, and how is that there is some what are the causes, what are the factors there has been contributing to the early marriage here, and what are the implications of the early marriage and the among mothers and children. It is present there. And like there's lack of maybe the poverty, and also that due to the ineffective government policy, and because always sometimes a professor told me when I was studying gender studies, like every policy is in Nepal is made within the room. Whenever the like three persons, three major political party are not, cannot say justified or cannot say it will be biased, but whenever the major political parties stay in the like a room, then or like major like something like in my near to my home, there is one like a place. Somebody lives in the political party, belongs to the political party, and all the political party members comes to near that in that place, and they drink and go and come back, and later on that, and they while going they will fight, but while coming they will be like all equally they come. But I don't mean that it's a wrong idea thing, but thing is when you come to the when you come to address the social issue, if they come equally on that way, it will be good idea. But like while drinking the alcohol only, or while staying in the 5 stars hotel only, they will come together. It's like a bad thing. So maybe to address this like this kind of early marriage and other social issue also, when they come together and like they will develop a policy, effective policy, and they will like address this kind of issues properly from national to the local level, it would be the good idea. Yeah. So that is I mean here. So there are all the backgrounds like how that this is Nepal has passed the law, and what are the health, and how that World Health Organization has defined, and also the data of like UNICEF and different times from the 2007 to 2016 which organization has like how they have been working on that, and like you can see that forcing that. Therefore, this like in this second paragraph, Nepal has passed a law of marriage age that I have written here, and it is now like 20 years of age. And if you that from the country code that marriage age defines that any person who marries before the 20 years of age, they are punishable. But in practice, it is not practical. Okay, so that is the thing. So it is all written here, background. Like I told you that early marriage is the most common in the Nepal. And this is a statement of the problem. So I have been how that this NDHS according to NDHS 90,000 women became pregnant in 2011 data. And vessel of the study, like why I have been selecting this, because I told you already this there are so many issues, and actually not only that, when you asked me why you selected the Palpa, because you have worked in other districts also. Because one thing is convenient, it is convenient for me, because I have my job also and all that. So because it was convenient for me, so I selected that study, but that area. But Palpa is also being a hilly region, one of Nepal. It is very prone to the early marriage, and still like there are so many women who got married in the. I interviewed the married who got. I interviewed the early married women. Not just married, but early married women who got married before 19 years of age, and now they are adult. But thing is now still also there are so many children who is getting married early age, and they are facing problem. Yeah, likewise, my objective of the studies is like to explore the causes of child marriage in Jhirubas, which is the Palpa district, and to assess the consequences of early marriage and maternal well-being. Because, I have written the word well-being here, like rather health, because well-being for me means like a socio-economic and all part here, and like so including still like there are so many things I have included about health also. So like well-being means socio-economic, mental, physical, and all that. And still the definition of health also, it is similar kind of that. Moreover, so whatever the well-being and health, maybe in the, it may be used as a synonym. So like you can go there to assist, and another is to assist the consequences of child marriage in the maternal well-being. I told you, and to assist the consequences of early marriage in the child well-being. And what are the consequences? Like I told you that I explained you some of the consequences that children and mothers are facing, and they will face in the future also. Because until and unless the Nepal government will not develop the strategy, proper strategy, and they will not monitor the programs developed by the NGOs, and they will not. Yeah, we are. Myself, I am a part of international NGO, but I am not. Being a part of international NGO, and we are working with the government, we are working with the local partner also. But thing is, Nepal government is not able to monitor the programs properly. And referring to the current situation, and now Nepal government has transformed into the federal structure, and no government structure are able to comply with the situation. Like what is they don't know about child protection, they don't know about gender, they don't know about like how how to address the child marriage issues, and how to address the social issues and other issues. And what they know that this budget we have to have a budget, so we should able to utilize the budget. So, and talking about the budget, how to utilize the budget, when we when you want to talk with them, they will say, why we want to talk with them? Why I should talk with you? Because we are government, we are a part of the government, so we have a role and responsibility to to address that. So, and we'll be coming to you. We should not come to us. So that's the thing. And significance of the study designed to investigate the cause of marriage and its consequences on mother and child being. I have told you that. Yeah, and this is limitation of the study. Only early married before 19 years and Jhirubas Palpa were selected. The study was limited up to 30 years with a child less than 3 years. And the study identified only the cause of early marriage and its consequences on mother and child well-being, because child health and well-being also. And because I had a limited time, with that time I had to finish my a thesis, and also so that it would be working for 3 months, and for 6 months it would be difficult for me also. And there are so many political issues and social issues going on here. So referring to that, I had a limited field study time, so I went there. And this is the all operational dictionary definition term use, which I use in between those in my research, which I have tried to define here. And this is the literature review part. And this in the review part, I have tried to mention that what are the laws, what kind of laws has been passed in the Nepal by the Nepal government, what kind of efforts and intervention has been done through the Nepal governments, and what kind of data and has been presented by the Nepal government and other NGOs also. And so presenting this review, I have tried to mention that there are so many data, so many issues, so many organizations, and so many itself a definition, and so many data by the different organizations. They have presented that there is a problem, but still there is not a solution. That solution is yet to come. But yeah, obviously, Nepal government and all NGO sectors are collaboratively working on that. These are all the reviews part. So this is my methods, like procedures of the study, like sources of the data, my sampling procedures and data collection procedures. And this is the descriptive and research design, and I try to have because primary data with record information collected, and so that I use my structure, interview and all that, and and questionnaires, and like talking about the sample size. I already told you before that my sample size was continuous sampling method, which I use as a wherever I instrument there. So I try to convince them, and I try to took the information, because one thing for women in Nepal, especially working in hilly regions, in that area, it is difficult for them to keep a time. And another thing is like they have one family burden and all that, so I had to manage their time and I had to go there. So that in that case also, I use their time, whichever convenient time they have. So I use for 126 women.
Can you see the screen? Screen. Yes. Can you read the screen for me? If you can't see the screen, please move to see the screen. Okay. There'll be an exam afterwards. Can you see it? Okay, please go. Sorry, Bikash, go. I want everyone to see your screen to be able to ask questions to you.
Okay. Before, as a part of the data collection, before going testings to the before implementing that questionnaire to the field, I tried that questionnaire among 12 respondents in different VDC, that is called Rampur VDC 2 and 4, and after that testing that questionnaires, I applied that structure questionnaires in another area, and in that area I applied with the 126 women. From each BDC, I applied for 14 respondents, 14 women respondents. Yeah, and like data collection procedures and ethics is a very important part. So I consulted with the local municipal office and to obtain the primary data, and in Jhirubas or Palpa, and I obtained the ethical information from the municipal office, and secondary data was also derived from the concerned agencies, like as BTC profiles, sub-well posts related to who takes census, and also that it was CBS data and all that. And prior to the interview, and oral consent and written consent for interview was also taken from the participant. And yeah, this is data analysis part. So this is data analysis, integration of data, socioeconomic. This chapter 4 will be like it will resemble the findings of my study, and so this is also education status of the respondents, and as you see upward, socioeconomic information of informants, and you can see here the table. So this is the important part of my research, education. If you see this table, education status of early married women, because between the data I presented, as I told you, I interviewed 126 total respondents, women respondents. If you see this data, education status of illiterate number is 33 and person is 26, and it is very high, and likewise literate rate is 25 number, and among the 126 number I interviewed, and person is 20, and also primary, if you go primary, if you see the primary, it is 25, and lower secondary to 16, secondary to 15, and higher education 12, among the 126. And it is, you can see the 100%. So if you see the data, the total literacy rate of respondents was 74%. Literacy rate was total literacy rate was 74%, and the remaining 26% were illiterate.
Just show the tables because of the time.
Yeah. This is the pie chart, which you can see here, and like it is like 68% is like your nuclear family, and another one is like 68% is joint family, and 32% is nuclear family. And the way this early marriage takes place and all that, so it is also somehow that joint family and nuclear family is also contributing, because in this area, and not only in the Palpa and all that, so in Nepal only that we are following the Westerners customs and all that. So if you see that we are trying to break our like customs, and we are trying to go out of the new things. So and when these people who got early married in our community, they will not stay with their parents because they have a problem. So they will stay there apart from the family. So this is the table here, situation of the land property, and you can see the status of the cultivated land that which they own, that the family and women own. That area of cultivation land, that if you, as you are in Nepal, that 1 rupee, this data is counted, Ropani, land is counted in Ropani and Ana and also hectare and all that. So this is the data. Less than 1 rupee, it is the people, the women who are having less than 1 rupee is 90%. That means also it is due to the poverty, and somehow that those people who got in this that 90%, and they are from the poverty line, and somehow these people will get their children married, early married, and they will send on believing that they will get dowry, and believing that they will get something from the others. They will get married, their children, and they will send, and after that they will have to face several challenges. Like you can see here, 71% of respondents have no sufficient cultivated land to solve their hand-to-mouth problems. So it shows that maximum expenditure is distributed for food, health, and at least for education, clothing, but only 4% respondents have sufficient land which could feed their families for a year. That means, in this way, if you see this data also, it has been contributing somehow to the early marriage, because they didn't have a food to eat, they didn't have anything to do. So what if they have 5 children, and what they would do with 5 children? So let's get married. Let's do married with up 2 children, and send them, because 3 children will remain at least. And after that, if they will get good amount, then another 1 or 2 children they will get married. If they have a son, they will get money from girl family. If they have a girl, then they will have to give her money. So having a son rather than a girl, rather than a daughter, is very is taken as an advantage for them. A source of income, like if you see the major source of income in that place is agriculture. So if they don't have a land, then how they will cultivate? And how this table shows that major source of income is agriculture, and they don't have a land to cultivate. Then how they will feed their family? How they will do? So let's get married. Let's do married children, because on talking to my family only, my grandmother had my family, including all my uncle and uncle and my dad's brothers. I have 11 members in my family. So you can imagine that how like complicated in that situation, that how my grandmother had faced a problem, and she had, but unfortunately she was my family and my his cousins, sisters and all that. They get educated themselves and they try to build themselves, but my grandmother could not do anything for them. So it is the situation of that place also. And likewise food security, because coming to the organ land there is a problem. So and how they will cultivate, how they will have food and all that. So that food security, 80%. That among the 126 number, 80, let's say 0 to 6 months like they didn't have like a proper food, and 7 to 12 months like you can see here. Agriculture production in terms of its adequacy for consumption was unsatisfactory. Only 9% of household had sufficient food. Food production access to the food. In addition, 28%, 20% and 63% of household has enough food for only 7 to 12 months and 0 to 6 months respectively. This family had to depend on sources other than their production for survival. If they have one children, then they can adjust. But if they have more than one children and they didn't have land also, so it will be difficult. But thing is, in this place, and coming to other parts of the Tarai, they have multiple children. They have more than 10 children. They have more than, at least they have 5 to 6 children. So how they will accommodate them, how they will feed them, that is a questionable question. And likewise, annual income. Like this table shows, like 43% respondents have below 10,000 rupees per income, and how they will feed their children, how they will do that. 32% of the respondents have 10 to 20,000 yearly income, and it shows that 60% have 20 to 30,000, and 9% respondents have more than 30,000 rupees as year income. But that income also they will not spend in investment until and unless people don't invest in something, and it will not come in return. But they will just invest in TV or buying luxury items and bring into home. And for 1 year they will look television, but after next year they will sell that television. So that next year they have to get that children married. So because they didn't have anything to do, that's the thing. So that's the causes of early marriage. This part contains the knowledge and practices as their response towards the issues. And this and the Palpa. The result of this, the practice were found with different situations. All major issues are described on the following headings, like age at marriage. Below this, you can see that there are 32 that white and different color. And below then 15 years, that you can see there are some like dotted area, and that is the below than 15 years is 32%, and that 16 to 19% get married, and that is 68%. So both, if you see the both data, that segregation of both data is very vulnerable. And types of marriage, if you see that, this is quite interesting here. Arranged marriage is 70 out of the 126 number I interviewed. 78 numbers they got married arranged. They had arranged marriage, and that is 62%. And likewise, love marriage, 44 had a love marriage. Gandharva Vivaha, which is called also kind of love, but it's they will not consult with parents and all that. They will get married themselves. And yeah, that is also 4. That is quite low. But and others, there is no any like different marriage. But so coming to this point, coming to this part, that arranged marriage is high. And like if you see the early marriage also, if you see the trend of doing early marriage and like a parents pressure, and I'll show the data later on, it is downwards. But those data also resemble these things like arranged marriage. Most in the arranged marriage, most of the family and they are involved, and that relatives and they are they are involved, and not very rarely those couples who are going to get married, they are asked, they are taken the consent, their consent. But in this case, in this village area, normally in this, let's follow this data. If you see the normal trend of Nepal also, we didn't have a trend to ask. Now we are changing the trend, but we didn't have a trend to ask the boy or girl, do you want to get married or not? Is this whether you want to study, whether you want to go abroad or not? Because coming to urban area and semi-urban area, there is some practice, but when you go to the village area of Nepal, most of the village area of Nepal, you'll find that. So, and this is causes of child marriage. You can see that data here. This figure 3. This shows that 39% each early marriage happened because of family pressures. Yeah, and 39% big. There is another thing that is 39% that they get married due to the family pressures, and which is apparently it goes to the child marriage and also other kinds of marriage. And only I told you that consent regarding the consent and willingness of children self-desire. Only the 25% get married on the basis of their willingness and their desire. If they want to get married, then the data shows that 25% of the total number only get married. And likewise, this data is quite vulnerable. So, and this other response, including to support family, it may be due to the lack of knowledge, and right spouse found I didn't like that, I want the other. So maybe that right spouse and all that. Also social pressures, because coming to the family of rural area, and when you go these kind of places where there are there might be not access to the road also, proper road, there might be not access to the proper health service and other factors also. So, and other awareness raising activity also, and there is some kind of family pressures and some kind of social pressures. That in that family she already got married, so why I need to keep you? I'll send you, so you go, and that's the thing. And knowledge of early marriage. When you talk about knowledge of early marriage, among the 126 respondents I interviewed, five respondents they do not know about that early marriage, what is early marriage and what is the legal age and all that. So and also that marriage before getting menstruation, what is the menstruation process and how it will take place and all that. So 15 respondents, they didn't know anything about that. And also coming to the point, another point, marriage and childhood age, whether they have to be married in the childhood age or not, and what is the consequences about that. So that they didn't know, and 21 got married in childhood age, and the number is quite high. When you see the data, before marriage, before those respondents who got married before 19 years of age is very high. Among 126 number, 85 respondents got married before 19 years of age, which is not a legal age is 20 years age, which is passed recently. But because as this adolescent age is till 19, so I tried to interview 19 years age. So it shows that data is very high, and this though Nepal has been passed several bills, several interventions, doing a lot of programs. Even I am also involved in that things, but still we are not able to reduce that kind of thing in different parts of Nepal, including that distant districts and area. and knowledge about legal age at marriage. Like it shows that this age and no, there is 2 options. So and that according to this revised Mulkian, the legal age of is 20 years age. I have already told that, and there is no provision, like there is a legal provision for both couple as well. If that they get, if even the guardian will get married, that couple that without their consent and no sorry without their consent or with their consent, so they will be punishable. And so it is in the it is in the law, but while coming to practice, it is not in the practice. But still, like Nepal government has passed several law and several intervention, and also there is a national strategy for child marriage to combat the child marriage, and there is national child child marriage act, and to address that thing. And 71% say they have a 71% this 71% of this respondent married respondent don't know about legal marriage age, and only 29% know that about legal provisions. What is the legal provision? What are the things and how that legal provision works? Only 29% knows. That also resembles how the situation is going on. Okay, likewise, this is a decision thing that I like to go in that thing. So decision-making role in marriage. When you come see, I'm just only great thing. Both that when I talk before I told that about arranged marriage, mainly the family and family involved, family and elder persons and the family are involved. Likewise, in the getting this early marriage done also, that mostly both father and mothers are involved, and that is 61 among the respondents I interviewed. 61 number 61 were married due to the family pressures and all that. So family were involved directly, and they were not involved, and which is quite high. So in a way, also when we try to bring the programs, we have to bring the programs especially for a committee, and so that we can. These days I'm also involved in designing programs and campaigns and all that in the school level. But including school level, we have to target the program to the community and also other stakeholders related with the child marriage and all that. So, yeah, consequences on mother and child health. That also these things resembles perception about on child early marriage. Look, this data shows that 71% of the women married early. They thought that early marriage affects both mother and child, and it made both of them physically, emotionally, intellectually, and economically weak. There is high probability of death of both mother and child, and there was loss of many opportunities for women like education, independent, and other progress. Among them, 29% respondents felt it could. So this is the thing. Figure this is figure knowledge of consequences on teenage, marriage, and health. Yeah, according to these figures, health consequences of all this marriage as are reported as maternal and child health. This 33%, weaknesses of mothers 17%, too immature for childbearing 14%, miscarriage 6%, death of mother like children 2%, and so on. This is the reason consequent on miscarriage and leading to the miscarriage and also stillbirth. That high level of living, dependency, and all that, twin on an immature mother, and that this is like when that a girl get married in the, especially not regardless of the boys, like boys also they have a pressure to get married in the early age, but rather than boys, that girls are more forceful to get married in the early age. So they have but these days that change reason is being different. before the reason used to be different. Reason used to be family pressures and all that. So in my data also it is there. But now the data has been changing. When it's not in written here. I have not been able to show so many things here. But when I try to interact with now that current beneficiary of the project also, there is some problems. Like there are due to the mobiles and that. Like advanced technology, that televisions and all that. When they watch a movie, they will see that somebody has taken and affairs and all the thing. So they get in affairs in the school time and they get flew away. So later on, after sometimes, and they don't know about anything about sex education and all that. So they will face a pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy, and they will go. It's not to blame anyone, but I know the friends in some NGOs. We have worked for like unwanted. We have worked for like when I was in Islam, that also a girl went to the. She was pregnancy in 14, and but she had to get like aborted. She wanted to get aborted. She wanted to get her. She didn't want to get a child, so she went to one of the like stops, like what do you call that, abortion center, and she did an abortion, and nobody stopped that. Thing is that neither that the parents knew the situation, neither that children knew that how that consequence would be later on. That age of when you see the age of first pregnancy, yeah, below 15 years, 37 respondents were pregnant below 15 years at the time of 15 years. And 15 to 19, when you see the 15 to 19 years, 89 respondents got pregnant in between the 15 to 19 years, and that is 71% in total. And this is antenatal checkup. Only the like antenatal checkup is essential, and but though they had only few had 29%. Sorry. 20% only had a checkup in the antenatal checkup. Okay, this is all the data. And just go over. Okay, this is and this is quite interesting. So I like to present this data here. The places of there still that we have been talking that we have abolished Chopodi in the like Chopodi. I don't know that somebody knows that about Chopodi. Chopodi is a kind of traditional practices. It is a malpractice actually, malpractices which is practiced in the western Tarai. Yeah, so it is called the place called Assam and all that. So the place, the female will be sent to the cow shed and all that, and they will be treated as an animal, like an animal, because they will be sent there. They will be given different things. They have to cook her. Sorry, that female has to who got menstruation. She has to do her things herself and all that. So now that for abolishing Chowpuri also, there has been passed a law, but it is not being practiced. Slowly it has been minimizing on that, but still we need to work on that. Likewise here, referring to this data also, during the delivery, the place of delivery was cow shed, which is even a cow shed has to be kept in a very clean environment. That is animal right. But here, a female has been female is being sent to the cow shed, which is being shameful for us, which is shameful. So only this cow shed, lack of money, places where we number. If you see the number among the 126 number, 22 were sent to the all that, and for likewise. If you see the data, there is rare case who has been sent to the among an interview. There is no cases that has been due to the lack of money. The hospital they are not sent to the hospitals and all that. And this this story shows that most of the poor economic status respondents delivered at home, at Gauset, and few better situational respondents delivered at hospitals and other places. And NDHS, this Nepal Development Health Survey 2011, which was taken in 2011, has shown 36% delivery attended by the service statistics of the physical area. 37% of the mothers deliver in health facilities, and that is close to findings of NDHS 2011. So somehow that they are being sent to the hospitals, but the way they practice is still it is very vulnerable. Yeah, this is my discussion, and like over white. This is chapter 5, and this already I told you this is I have explained about the objective, where to examine the causes of early marriage and assess the consequences of maternal and child health. I had reviewed many literatures and studies and material to the present study, and like I was referring to the table, I have presented some like a brief information about the what is there, and that is qualitative information also and quantitative information also, and I have already presented the data. So, and if you see that this at last point that this in first point in the age of group 16 to 20 years, it is 16 to 19 years. The average prevalence of early marriage among the respondents was 68%. I already told you that before. And at last point, that 56 respondents still believe that the right to make decision about the child marriage lies with the father, and which is very shameful for us, because still that it is not that those respondents they are being already adult, and still they believe that because they now they have children. So for them also the rights of the deciding about the child marriage age is with the children father. So
That's it?
this is conclusion and recommendation. So I'd like to. I have made some like a recommendation here, and regarding it is though it is like somehow among South Asian countries, even in the I have not researched anything, any articles, but I have gone through some like documents about Bangladesh also, and somehow India also, that there is in some places there is also widely practice of child marriage there. So the problem is not only in Nepal and Bangladesh or India, it is all over the South Asia in one or other way. And so that in policy I have tried to recommend some strategies in policy levels and different level. Like number one strategy is forceful legal action. We can have many harmful results, like in the lives of the people who marry young. Instead, educational motivation can work. Therefore, programs should be focused to enroll and retain girls in schools. And until and unless, because my current role is also similar like that, because we are trying to incorporate and we are trying to tell the schools and all that, because now currently the government has all the given rights to the local structures, local government structure, to exercise the rights of education and to implement whether to cancel the license, whether to reissue the license, or whether to govern the schools, and whether to exercise, whether to how that start a education campaign, all that. And every program has been diverted to the municipality level and rural municipality level. So for now, our role is to bring some kind of changes in the municipality level and rural municipality level, so that our coming, because these women have already faced the consequences, but now other children should not face any kind of such kind of challenges, and they have to get married, and they have the right to get married in their right of the choice. In the years the choice, and nobody should force them. So the massive awareness, like everybody in previous presentation also, there is need of massive awareness as the age from 18 to 20 years has been increased, but like there is no any legal like how there is no any massive, there is no any information about the legal age in a different way, because still there are so many places that mass media hasn't reached. Even in the Tarai, in the place which I work, there are some places and there are some people which who they don't have, they haven't seen the even television, they haven't seen the even like radio and all that. There are so many people, and maybe the children have seen because they went to the schools and they have been interacting with others people, but there's still the problem is there. And likewise, ending child marriage should be established as a cross-cutting issue and mainstream into all development works and mainstream into the local policy of federal government and activities and effectiveness of activities focusing the reducing early marriage should be done in collaboration with NGOs and INGOs, and this should be not be plan of NGOs only, not be the plan of government only. Both the government and like NGO sectors should work collaboratively, or because there are so many NGOs. Yeah, even though I work in this civil society sector and development sector, there are so many NGOs and just which are they are not working properly. Even okay, if my organization is not working properly, yes, government should take a legal action, but the program should be implemented properly. And early and in the practice level, okay, early marriage is still widely practiced in the prevalent in the community. So in order to reduce the early marriage, livelihood opportunities, income generation support opportunities should be made available in the concerned community and other that community who face such kind of challenges. And adolescent boys and girls should be empowered to manage their sexual and reproductive health issues through different approaches such as peer education, comprehensive sexuality education, life skill-based education in school, etc. And likewise, child club, youth club, and local groups should be mobilized and engaged massively to address the issues and combat the early marriage, hence to discourage to both parents and adolescents to get married in the early age. Sorry, to get married in the right age is not early age. And all educational institutions, government agencies should focus on creating social pressures. Like now, yeah, we know that the currently legal action is not working properly. So there should be collective pressures from the government, and government should not be think that it's only the responsibility of the government. It's also responsibility of civil society and community and the parents. So they should work jointly. And they should try to educate the young people regarding the advantage of getting married after 20 years or right age, which Nepalese law has defined, and informing them about the essential of dealing. Also that maybe while dealing with the marriage, while getting married in the right age, that their pregnancy period and they will have a sufficient education about sufficient knowledge about pregnancy period, and also that adopting safe sexual practices as a way of life. Because nowadays, if you see the data, maybe in an unseen way, if you see, if you try to check the data, if you just go the schools and colleges and also in government schools, which I have seen observed also, there are so many. If you see only if you go in the bathroom also, girls and both, sorry to say, but ladies and both gents in bathroom also, you will find so many condoms, and that is not only it will lead to the very vulnerable person. So, and this is for the research, and it will be. I don't know how much my research will be helpful to others, but the way I try to do research is maybe it will try to open area to do further research, and maybe moreover like it will when other people will do research, it will also help me to correct this research part, and I will also try to broaden my knowledge, because maybe limited. I have tried to do this research with limited knowledge, because which I think I have a limited knowledge for now, because with that knowledge I try to do that research, but yeah, obviously there is needs so many improvisation, and I'll do that. So that this is my whole thesis, and also this is the bibliography, and here, and acknowledgement, and this is because without acknowledging this research part, to complete this research, it will not be complete, because while completing this research, I have got so many feedback, so many suggestions from the respected Professor Darren Mason, and my friends from the AUSN Club, Ramesh and Vivek and all the team. So, so it has helped me a lot. And finally, these are the questionnaires sets which I applied there, and it has the whole question set has been already reasonable. I have already like explained the table and all that result. These are the things, questionnaires. And finally, my presentation has been finished. Thank you for your patience till now, listening to me. So if you have any queries.
Thank you very much, Bikash. I think we have we've covered a lot of material, and there must be a lot of questions and comments. Please, Hassan, ready?
Yeah.
Got your pen and paper ready?
Yeah.
You will probably need it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, first of all, I must say, it's a very good piece of work. When I say you can put my head on the block, you can present it anywhere. So, I have a number of issues. I think they're just general and they apply to other students as well. I mean, you started nicely by giving us your own experience of the area. I think that needs to be incorporated in your background. And that is very important in the sense that when you base your background on your own experience, it gives it a sense of purpose. It gives you originality. Because you must also go in a kind of paradigm shift whereby you just copy Nepal, this or that. Anybody can read those things anyway. But when you anchor your background on your own experience, in fact, most of you here working somewhere, so it gives you also a best way of writing your general objectives. But another important aspect are the research questions. I think they're lacking there. Research questions are important because if you give a nice background, a nice rationale of the study, there are a number of questions which have been teasing you why you wanted to do the study or whatever you want to do it. So research questions are important because they help you to formulate your specific objectives. Yeah, which as he asked your colleague, that those need to be answered. I think that's very important. You need to have research questions to guide your specific objectives. And also another important aspect, if you saw when Kako was sharing with us about whiteness, she gave us theoretical work, background of whiteness. He talked about Bell, talked about the Latinos. I mean, the theoretical framework helps you to guide your research work both theoretically and methodologically. Because your theoretical, you must have a theory, you can discuss. You see, she presented a number of theories there about the whiteness, of course, based in the situation in America there. That's why we had the discussion there. So you need also to grapple, because you're not the first person or to write about the area majors. They happen everywhere in Africa, among different societies, area marriages. So you need also to have a kind of a thorough ground on the issue of what you understand by area marriage. Because you see, these things, as I said before, concepts are variables. They mean differently to different people. The concept of early marriage is both a cultural thing and it's also a legal thing. Because if you look at most traditional societies, they are what you call the rites of passage, where you can, if a child, a girl, 12 years old, she might be chronologically a child, but mentally she's a grown-up. You can go to the, mama can go to the family for her taking care of her siblings, and without any problem, she has no doubt. Whereas in our Western values, they say, oh, you can only marry when you are 20 and above, But you can be 30, 40 years, can take care of yourself. You see what I'm saying? So those are issues you need to grapple with between mental and chronological age, which are legally and culturally defined. So a dissertation is not a newspaper article. It's a scientific work. So we need to grapple with those things both conceptually and logically. And you must have also a theory to guide your work. We could criticize Kako this morning or afternoon because we would say, oh, Latinos are not white in America, but they are white in what? In Poland or whatever. Because there was already a kind of a theoretical framework we're working on. So we need to have that one. And also another aspect is when in the question of the methodology. You said you use convenient sampling procedure. We need to define those things because we need to understand how do you differentiate purposive sampling and convenient sampling, because they are not the same. A journalist, when he goes to a place people are fighting there, he can ask anybody who is ready to answer his or her questions and write an article. But in research, you don't do like that. So in journalism, where you can use a non-probability sampling procedure, you can use a convenient sampling or a purposive sampling. But these things need to be defined in your workplace. As I say, you're not writing a newspaper article, you're writing a dissertation. So in your methodology, you need also to break up your concept, both operationalize them and support them with literature sources. And that's what explains why your literature sources list is well put there, but it looks very thin. You see what I'm saying? For a master's piece of work. So if you grapple with the theoretical issues there in the conceptual framework, you will have more literature down there. I think that's also another thing. Another aspect which is a bit problematic is your data collection method. You said you use a what? What do you call this one? A structured what? Interview schedule. And yet when you are giving your statistics there, more than, I don't know, 50% or more of your respondents had only primary education and below. So did you administer it to yourself, or did they do it when they are illiterate? And that's why I pointed it this morning that you need to use triangulation, thereby use different methods, especially when you are dealing with cultural issues like that. You need to combine methods to collect data, interviews, if you have a questionnaire, if you focus group discussions, so that you can grapple with those cultural and legal issues involving issues of marriage, whatever. And also another aspect here is what you did, which was also very nice. You try to tie your findings to your research program. I think I should stop for the moment.
Thank you. Bikash.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for your feedback and also suggestions. Talking about incorporating experience in my background, I have when you go.
No, if you've done it's fine. I'm just saying.
I have included some my experience there, but rather than I try to explain what experience more I have tried to do there, and talking about other recent experience what I am doing. I try to explain that, but obviously, as you given feedback, that important part is we need to make our resource strong, so that the resource would be the research which I have done. It will be evidence based, not in the other ways. So yeah, obviously I'll take your feedback, but I have put that some part. And regarding research question, it has been listed, so I'll correct my part. And also background and also theoretical framework, I have included in a review in literature, so which I showed there. It is the situation of early marriage in Nepal and so before I wrote it there as a review, but later I have presented as a background, and in between that also in what framework I have done that I have explained there. And regarding convenience sampling, from my point of view, I try to define the convenience sampling, because when I do other sampling method, I need to define the propositive sampling, and I need to define the proper sampling the way. But the thing is, I have a limited time. And within that time frame, I had to finish my research, and I had to complete all the things. So from my point of view, that about my definition regarding the convenience sampling is that the way how convenient for those beneficiary, it would be convenient for me as a researcher, and when I go into the field, and the convenient for in beginning also I explained that because my method due to the time frame and due to the time schedule, which they are the women, early married women, they are, because most of the married women are engaged in agricultural activities. They need to they need to be back in the home, and they need to do their household works and all that. So until and unless they didn't go home, that male person of the family will not be able to eat food. Thing is that, So while engaging, if I engage them in my research part, so it would be kind of all thing. So I tried to define in that way. For me, convenience sampling. So how much I try to answer your question, I don't know, but my point of view was that. And regarding your other triangulation, that I had my one friend who helped me there. So in between that those illiterate persons, he feel that, and with their consent.
Yeah, but there must be a statement.
Yeah, obviously I missed that there. So I'll be incorporating with your feedback. I'll be incorporating in that part.
But
so
these are interviews. So it's interviews, oral interviews. The interviewer records a score, records a comment.
Yeah, whatever the question here.
Yeah.
He needs to explain this.
Yeah, so obviously with your feedback, I'll do that. And thank you. And regarding, so how much I am able to answer your questions, I'm sure. So if there is anything from your part and others, if any have queries, then I can answer.
Yeah, I mean, in his thesis, he says the average interview time was 35 minutes. That's one of the things stated in the methods. So it's all interviews. Yeah, it's. Other questions or comments, suggestions, improvements? Maya, please.
So just one or two things, maybe.
Please use the mic. Thank you.
Again, thank you for your presentation. I see that Prof. already mentioned the issues. I had some things that came out to me in page 12, and I was maybe making reference to, I've got it written here, rites of passage, and that with certain rights and age groups of the young girls come certain responsibilities. So maybe you need to explore that from the cultural perspective. Every time I wrote down a point, you seem to have addressed it over time. I was asking what is the legal age, and you explained it was 20 years. I was more curious about what is the age of the partner of the girls. Are they a similar age, or is it such a problem because the age gap between the girl and the boy, or the girl and her partner is a very big gap? Is that why it's such a problem? Because they're being forced into a marriage that is, against their will with someone that is much senior to them, or is it that the girl and the boy, the partner is the same age? And then you were talking about, in your abstract, more about love marriages versus the arranged marriage. So it created that perception that was the main reason, whereas when you get into the data, you actually see it's more the arranged marriage that is coming out. Yeah, I think there were a lot of, one or two instances, I think you meant places, but you may have typed palaces. So there's some grammatical things there. Then you make mention on page 12 about, I don't know, I think in your first page or on page 12, maybe backward country.
Show page 12, please.
Yeah, So when you make reference to a backward country, maybe you don't mean it in a certain way, but how it's interpreted could be, is it that your understanding? Is that the general way that it's understood? Do I just make up my mind about what a backward country is? It just gives this negative perception about what Nepal is like. I think just come down slightly, slowly, come down. No. Come some more. Further down, page 12. I think if you search for it, you'll find backward country. So maybe, I don't know if that is still acceptable to anyone. That is, I don't think I would be happy to have something written like that about a backward country. Prophet mentioned, the lack of some theories, and there's this thing about early marriages, about patriarchy, because you mentioned the thing about, the fathers being, or parents being the ones that are responsible for forcing the children, the young girls into marriage. So whether it's the patriarchy or it's women's subordination, or there's certain things like radical feminist theory I've been looking here. Inclusion of certain theories that you think might be relevant. Prof mentioned that your reference list was fairly thin. If I just look for early marriages and theoretical frameworks, I come up with a lot of, results. So, and there are lots of papers that are fairly recent, because this is, like you're saying, a very current and real problem all over the world. Then on your diagram, 3.3, I think your 3.3, the title is very ambiguous. I think it was one of your tables, 3.3. I won't remember which page, sorry. I wasn't sure, was it the mother that was married before she was 19 but is now up to 30 years, or did she have the child by the time she was 30 years of age? So the heading of the table was, I wasn't too clear about it. And then again 4.2.4, the title was not clear. That's about it from my side.
Thank you, Maya. Any comments, Bikash?
Can you also revisit the
So-
title of the thesis? It seems, for me, it's a little bit too long.
Oh yeah. Other than the title, in some places I think he's changed causes to bases. In the main title it's basis for, and inside it goes causes. So I don't know why you made the change, but you can always.
So which
decide.
is a better term, causes or basis?
I'm not sure why he chose either, or why he made the change.
Explain, please.
Thank you, Mike, for your feedback. Regarding the gap between the partner and the other marriage, the age, currently age they get married is 19 years is below. The age they get married, they got married, but now the age is being higher. As I told in beginning also. Now they are they rearing the children and all that. So that is the thing. But and the life partner, the mostly they have, they are the older than age. That's why that maybe the 5 years older, or 6 years older, or 7 years older, like that. So things. But what I try to explain, what I'm trying to explain is that the trend of the child, like early marriage, or whether we refer as child marriage. Like it is being moreover or how much we are going on the modernized is, the more backward we are going. That's why maybe in terms of the word, maybe I need to correct, but the way I mean it backward in that way. Okay, so and in that way, I was trying to explain in that way. But thing is, we are trying to, we have developed our systems. We have changed out legal systems. We have our government system has been changed into federal structure. But thing is, and by the time when we are when we amend the new laws, when you amend the laws, when you made the act, when you made a new like a preambles and all that, but we really took the we really take the message or feedback from the community levels. Our government really take the like a feedback from the government levels, because the law is for them. Whether law is for the state or the people depends. No? If law, I am following the law, I am responsible to follow the law, then I should be asked. I mean that. So if the children has to follow the law, if that community people has to follow the law, so why they are not being like a counseling, and why they are not being taken feedback properly, and why they are, obviously at the time of elections, every political party has a manifesto. They go into the committee, they take the feedback. So how much feedback that, I don't blame anyone. There is nobody to blame. Maybe between that, I'm also in that periphery, because I may have to blame myself also. But the thing is, like how much we are practicing that in a real scenario. So in that way, we are backward. Like in terms of I mentioned that we have like mentioned that we have developed our like a per capita income maybe to some extent, but in a way, so is that our like developing, or we are being more modern in that way, is that we are taking like we are buying televisions that sophisticated televisions, and that we are giving, like we are watching like television costing 2 lakhs, 4 lakhs. We are having before we used to have like a PC. Now we are having laptops. Instead of laptops, we are having a notebook, or more than that. So is that a development, or is the development mean to like has to be like a feel by the committee? Because if you ask to the committee level, when you go into the committee level, what is the development? If I can get a hand to mouth. In morning, if I can get a meal, and if night I can get a meal, that is development for me. So that is the thing. So, but when we talk to we have a big thing. We have obviously we need to have a big thought, because until and unless we don't have a big thought, we will not go forward. But to have a big thought, then where we have a base, where is our base? Maybe that because the topic myself, I was before the base when I wrote that base and causes for me is more similar, but the topic as you told that I need to correct that. So but thing is why I wrote that base as instead of causes, that it is being as a base. Now it has before it was a causes. Slowly it is being as a base, but we are developing society, we are moving slowly to the very complex society and very developed society, but our base has not been so much strong. That's what I mean. So.
Thank you.
Can you go to the topic?
Sorry. Go to the title page.
Yeah, I think that's why it's wrong, because those things like consequences based, they're not supposed to be there. What else? Why can't you just like error marriages?
Use the microphone, please.
Wait, it looks like a paragraph. Why can't you just write the early marriages and the impact on mother-child in Nepal? And then when you come inside now to describe your study side, whatever, is when you can bring your case study there. But for a title, especially if you want to publish it, that's why you will grapple whether you should use causes or basis. But those things can come, those are just semantics sometimes. But the title will be early marriages and impact on mother and child in Nepal. And then when we come with the text there, you can call it basis or causes. So to say. But the way it is,
Anyway.
Kako, do you have some comments, feedback?
No, I
You don't?
don't really have anything.
Nothing special? Dr. Selvanayagam? So okay? Any
Yes, enough material. And
No other
presentation
no other-
presentation also good, so therefore you can.
okay? Any other comments or questions?
So well done.
Other comments, critical comments and questions?
You should not stop with only getting a degree. I think you should publish. This will be useful for your government. That is my purpose.
Especially the police
Okay. So I think in the thesis, your comments, in fact, the last dialogue you had between spurred on from Maya's question and your response, it links to some of the arguments in the thesis. One is that, and there's some of the things. So what was the cause of the early age of marriage? In the past, you're saying it was family influence, and now it's media influence and social media, and the power of the cell phone and the communication. So that was, in fact, a topic that you might do for your PhD, is to look in terms of the development of the transformation of the society and what's the basis of Nepalese society now and the future. Because your answer and the discussion here is really looking at trying to understand Nepalese society in terms of the influence on early marriage. And is there a linkage between early marriage and the use of what's called development? So you asked the question in the response here, what is development? And that's through the thesis as well, one of the dialogue questions. And is it good? Interestingly, in the country which I find myself living at the moment, temporarily is defined as living in California. California itself is probably not early marriage age. But many states in the United States have very loose laws on early marriage. There are marriages of 12-year-old girls in the United States, legally. Okay, there are a number of states where it's quite legal to get married very young. There are religious exceptions in most states, and this is, I think, far too young for most of us. Because maybe in Nepal you're saying correctly that it's having a detrimental effect. So even if it's a country which is so-called technologically developed, it still is lacking in many aspects, such as gender equality and this. Some of the points, I think you've got a few points for revision, which is good. Always in our thesis defense, we try to have people get comments to make it better, with a view to the final published publication of the paper. All the thesis needs to be published in some format in a paper, as well as the final bound thesis for the collection of yourself. No other comments from any other students? Do you think, we've had two thesis defense today, do you think they were fair? Do you think we were harsh on people? As students, do you want to have a tough thesis defense or an easy one?
Easy one. Tough.
Who wants a tough thesis defense? Put your hand up. Remember that.
What we had today is very mediocre.
Mediocre. Good. Yes, often,
It's not tough.
sadly in some universities, thesis defense become political power plays between the professors in the department, and the students are the victims of this. And that often happens. But in our case, every faculty member is interested in trying to develop wisdom and knowledge. We don't have this power play, but I don't know if you find it in your own country. Certainly in India, I know, in Japan, I know, professors will victimize students based on the agenda of the president. Send South Africa. It happens. Okay, so thank you. You had a good thesis defense. Thank you very much for those refused. So I'd like to pass, we have a promised 10-minute presentation to the south of the border. Yeah, thank you.
No.
Thank you.